Hey guys, I'm Ryan Potter. Welcome to the new Real Talk podcast. And I'm not going to be here to talk about real estate. Most of you guys know that I'm a realtor, but that doesn't matter because that's not what we're going to be talking about on this podcast. We are going to be talking about other people other than myself and bringing you guys into that and talking about how we can come together as a community here in Omaha and how we can partner with one another and build each other's businesses, but also just get to know one another on a deeper level as we talk about life and business and all the other things that come along with that. One thing that I love that we do and that I love doing with my team and even within the real community is we talk about, like, how are you actually doing? Like, let's take business aside and let's check in with one another and say, like, hey, how are things going in life? Like, what are you struggling with? What are you feeling challenged by right now? And just kind of have a mastermind around how do we help each other in all these different seasons and stages of life and get through that specific season or stage of life that somebody might be struggling in. And so that's going to be a lot about this podcast too, right? It's going to be talking about people's past experiences. Maybe people are actually in that experience as we're being in a conversation and talking about those things. But we want to be real. That's why it's called Real Talk. So we don't want fake stuff. We don't want to be putting on some mask or something that's not real. The whole purpose of this podcast is to go deep and ask each other challenging, fun, deep questions that will hopefully encourage you and challenge you on the same side of the other side of the camera, I guess, as we do these things. But we just want to be an encouragement and we want to help each other grow. And that's the premises of the podcast. If you guys know someone that you think would be a good person to host on the podcast, like, I would love for you to reach out, and you can do that through social media. You can do it through a text or an email to me if you know me personally. But what I'm trying to do is continue to grow this, right? And continue to share stories that I feel like should be shared. And so I don't want this to be about me. I don't want it to be about even real estate. I want it to be about, hey, how are these people doing life, where they're at in life right now, and what are they doing, and who do they surround themselves with to help them get through some of those things? Maybe we'll be having somebody on that is a successful CEO somewhere, or there's someone who's a stay-at-home mom that's a superstar that everybody's like, you got to have this girl on. She has an amazing story. Like, those are the types of people we want to basically bring on and have them share their stories and hopefully encourage those around them. One thing that has really, I think, challenged me recently, I'm now 42, and so as you go through, I was just having this conversation with someone the other day. I think some people call it midlife crisis. I don't feel like it's a crisis, but I feel like it's something that needs to be addressed and discussed and talked about because I don't think, especially as men, that we talk about this enough. And I just remember, like, this is recent, like, probably it's fresh 12, 18 months ago, and I'm still working through it. But I just remember sitting, I was actually at home in my office, kids had gone to school, wife's at work, and I just remember thinking to myself, like, is this it? Like, is this is everything that I've worked towards, and like this feeling that I have is not great. And I was like, well, what is this feeling? You know, I started asking myself some deeper questions. And as I started having those conversations with other men in my life, I started reaching out to other people that had been mentors of mine in the past, that are friends and doing life with me right now. And then even, you know, having conversations with my kids and some younger generational people who were in their 20s now, you know, and just asking them the question of, like, okay, we started off as simple as, like, what is success? What does that look like for you? And then moving towards, like, what do you want? Like, because those things change, right? So as I was going through this and thinking about it and talking about it, I noticed that there's different stages of life that we all go through, right? So for me, it was like in my 20s, you know, you graduate from college and you get into your first job and you're like, oh man, I'm so energized. I'm so excited about a new job and finally getting into the world. And like, this is my first technically like real job, right? And so we're all like excited when we're in that phase of life. And then you start moving into like your mid 20s to late 20s. And here's what usually that progression is. And statistically, we all know this too, is you go from like your low 20s to mid 20s, and you're usually getting mentored by someone, right? Like you have the energy, you have the drive, the motivation to like want to get somewhere, right? Like we're all in our early to mid 20s are there. And so we seek out somebody to get advice from, to learn the industry from, whatever it is that you're doing as a job. You're trying to learn as much as you can and soak it in. Then you get to your 30s and you're like, okay, I feel like I've got a pretty good grasp of what that looks like. And so now I'm like taking all of that knowledge and experience and whatever, and I'm becoming the best at it, right? So like in my early to mid 30s, it's like for me, it was like you're winning all these awards, your team's growing, you're starting to be recognized in magazines and all over the place. And it's like, okay, this is fun and it's cool because now like you're being recognized. And then like you move past that into like, as I crept into my 40s of, okay, all this stuff that I was chasing, the recognition, like the early 20s of like, oh, if I could just make $100,000, life would be great. And you go do that. And, if I could just reach this goal and this next goal, then like life would be great. And you keep doing these things. If I could just travel here, life would be great. And then you do all those things and you're like, I still don't feel like great or fulfilled. Like there's this emptiness inside of just chasing these things. And so that was me, like sitting at my desk, just being like, what am I chasing right now? Like, what is it that I'm going after? And so I really had to go deep within myself as far as like, I mean, that can go in so many different ways and levels, right? Of just going down to like, where am I at in my faith and my foundation? Am I happy there? Am I happy in my marriage? Am I happy with my kids? Am I happy with like my job? Like all of these things started to break down and work through essentially with like so many people around me. Where am I going with this? Okay, so where I'm going with this is like I had all these different seasons of life, right? And as we go through all these different seasons of life, one of those things that I recognized at 40 was I've always been in like these leadership positions, even in high school and college. Like I was serving on all of these like leadership teams wherever I was. And so I always gravitated towards that for some reason. I just loved being around people. I loved educating people, informing people, building those relationships, all those types of things. But what I realized was once I reached my 40s, it was like, hey, you're no longer the young, energized, like motivated kid that wants to be on top. You're now the mentor that was in the position 20 years ago of that person that was mentoring you. And so that was where a light bulb moment went off for me, where I was like, okay, my role now has reversed. It's not the young, energetic kid trying to go out there and get as many deals as he possibly can and, be well known in the real estate community. It was like, no, now your role is to just go be a mentor to so many other people. And so sometimes that's in real estate. Like I got into real estate coaching for a while and was doing that. I still lead a team. But now it's like what we're doing now. It's just having conversations with other people and being able, I love having younger kids. I say younger kids, I feel old. I love having like people in their 20s basically come on and share with me like, hey, here's my life goals and where I want to go and like, how do I get there? And just helping them work through just the top surface level sort of stuff. It's not that you want to make $100,000. Like, why do you want to make $100,000? Like, why are you driven? Why is that the number that you are trying to go after? Like, why not make $200,000? Why not make 300? Like, why does it stop at one? And so just helping people navigate and work through that has been fun. So yeah, now looking ahead, guys, what does that look like? You've kind of heard a little bit of my story and why I've wanted to start this, but now what does that mean for you? And looking ahead, what does that mean for all of us? So one of the things that I really enjoyed, for those of you that don't know, I used to do full-time ministry before I got into real estate. And so I was doing junior high, senior high, and college ministry. And one of my favorite things about the entire ministry was doing one-on-one discipleship. Sometimes one-on-few where I'd have like 2 or 3 others, but literally, it was basically sitting down with people and talking about life and doing life on life with them, is what we called it, life on life ministry. So you're meeting people where they're at. Sometimes it was fun and we're playing games and doing that kind of stuff. Other times it was, hey, we're going to get in the Word. We're going to talk about what the Word is saying and how to apply that to our lives and what does that mean to us. And that's kind of the same mentality that I've taken into real estate and what I'm wanting to take into this, as far as, okay, like there's three people, typically I'm going to use biblical names here and structure to help you kind of better understand. But I always ask people, like, okay, who's your Paul, who's your Barnabas, and who's your Timothy in your life? And that is something that I want to challenge everybody to think about. Even if you're not someone that walks in faith or goes to church or anything like that, this still applies to you. So one is, who's your Paul? So Paul in Scripture was a guy that traveled and spread the gospel across so many different cities and countries. And he basically went from town to town. But while he did that, he took along with him a guy named Timothy. And Timothy was a younger kid that he was able to basically mentor and bring along with him. So when I say, like, who is your Paul, that means who is the mentor in your life that is, and you can have two or three of them. It doesn't just have to be one, but I specifically just say, like, one, you need to have at least one in your life that's meeting you where you're at. So somebody that is giving you advice if you're married, in your marriage, like who's holding you accountable in your marriage, who's helping you when things get challenging and difficult in your marriage. Are they someone that is a phone call or a text away that you can just reach out to when things might get a little rough? Or are there celebrations, right? Like, who are those people that are basically pouring into you and your spouse and almost like mentor parental figures like in your life, but aren't your parents? So you can't use your parents. You can't use your parents. The next one is Barnabas. So Barnabas was a guy that we basically talk about as far as like doing life together. So typically these are the people that they're like your same, roughly around the same age, might have the same amount of kids that you have, might be participating in the same things that you, if you like play pickleball or basketball or different things like that. Like, these are the people you're surrounding yourself with and doing life with, right? So when you're talking about the season that you're in, it's easy for them to relate to you because they're right there with you. So for us, that's like people in our small group Bible study from church. So like we meet every other Sunday, and like for us, those are the people that we love getting together with and just talking about life, talking about Scripture and our faith, talking about like how crazy our kids are and what do we do in these crazy situations when they're tearing apart the house, and like how we're supposed to react and all those fun things, right? But you have those Barnabases in your life to kind of like keep you in check, right? Like, hey, you were acting a little probably out of hand there, or like maybe you should respond differently here. Like people that are going to actually hold you accountable, and when they see you just doing life, right? But also like challenge and encourage you and tell you that you're doing a great job, like with a certain situation that you might be going in. So, and then the last one is Timothy. So reversed, right? Like Paul, Barnabas, and now Timothy. Timothy is, who's the Timothy in your life that you are mentoring and that you are taking under your wing and that you're sharing some of the things that you've learned along the way, maybe you wish you would have learned at that age. And so typically a Timothy is somebody that is younger than you. And so you're helping them kind of get through the different phases of life that you once have gone through. So you're like speaking into them with wisdom, with love, with encouragement, with accountability, those types of things. So that is the type of people that we want to bring on the show, right? And that we want to have on the podcast is like, okay, somebody bring me a Timothy, somebody bring me a Barnabas, somebody bring me a Paul. Like, I want a mixture of everything. So I'm not always the one that's like mentoring someone or speaking into whatever it is. Like, I want to be learning something. So I want a mentor to come in here and teach me about a certain industry or life story or something that would be challenging for me as a husband, as a father, as an entrepreneur, and as a business owner. So like, I just want to continue to grow and continue to be challenged as I get older, and continue to be held accountable for just all aspects of my life. So that's why we're doing this, and that's why we're moving forward with these types of things, just to kind of give you an idea of like what to expect as we move forward. If this resonated with you, we would love to get a like, a subscribe, a follow from you, and comment below Life on Life. That's what I think we really want to make the theme of kind of this podcast and Real Talk is we're just doing life together. We're meeting each other where we're at. We're meeting you where you're at, and we're finding out how can we come alongside of one another and be an encouragement, hopefully give you guys a little bit of joy in your life and some laughter. But also, like, I'm not going to lie, there's probably going to be some people on the podcast where it's sad, and we're talking about people that might be going through a divorce or somebody that lost their business or whatever the case is. It's not always going to be glamorous, but that's why it's called Real Talk, and that's why we're doing Life on Life, and we're meeting everybody where they're at. We're coming around each other. We're going to collaborate together. We're going to partner together, and we're going to help grow the community together. And no more of this like, oh, it's just me growing my own business. Like we're long past those days. I am not a guy that likes to be in the spotlight, believe it or not. I'm a guy that would rather do things behind the scenes and help someone grow their business, and not only just their business, but help them grow in their life, in their marriage, in their walk with their kids. And who knows, maybe they're not even in a relationship, but they're wanting to get somewhere, and I want to be available to help them do that. So if that's you, and if that has met you or spoken to you, I should say, then go ahead and give us a follow, a subscribe, a like, and comment below Life on Life, because we are going to be bringing you some more good stuff along the way.